Hi everyone, Andy LaCivita, founder of Mile Walk and the Mile Walk Academy, and award-winning author of The Hiring Prophecies, here with this week's episode. I am so excited about what we're going to talk about today, which is how to build the ultimate professional resume. Not only am I happy to share this with you, but I'm glad I'm now going to have a video to point people to for the hundreds of requests I get a week to just glance over my resume. I'm really thrilled because I know this is something a lot of people struggle with. It's very confusing. It's not a fun or natural act. So I'm super excited to do this with you today. And just to give you an idea, I have looked over 500,000 resumes in my life. As an executive recruiter who matches job candidates with hiring companies, I see a lot of resumes. And I have personal experience. I understand what resonates with me, but I also see the way that my customers, the hiring companies, react when they look at job candidates' resumes. So what I've done is I've stripped it down. I've looked at many of these resumes and I've curated and developed what I think is the ideal professional resume for virtually any job that you have. I think it works in, let's say, 95% of the cases. But before we get in, I want to talk about a few little concepts about the resume. The resume itself, the goal, there's only one goal. The resume has only one goal, which is to entice an employer to speak with you. That's it. That's the sole purpose the resume has. It's not a vehicle to ask for what you want. It's not a vehicle to tell them what you're going to do if they hire you. You could use emails and cover letters for that, and the job interview itself. So it's really just a vehicle to entice them and to get them excited about you so that they want to speak with you. Now, before we go any further, this is going to work a lot better if you actually have the template of the resume that I'm going to speak about in front of you. So there's a download button in the notes. The great thing about video is you can pause me and download that, because I think it'll be easier to follow along. It's the template and there's some instructions in there. I'm going to refer to it as we go through it. So while you're doing that, the goal for today is really about helping you understand how to think about the resume, what the format should look like, and give you a template and some instruction as to how to fill it in. It's not to write the resume for you. I have other training and coaching activities for that, but it's really about just getting you comfortable with what the resume should look like. And if you have any specific questions, that's what the comment section's before. So let's dive in. Now, as you can see on the top of the resume where your name is, I suggest first and last name only. The less the employer has to digest, the better. You don't need to use 3 names, 4 names, or other symbols or hieroglyphics at the end of your name. Or if you've got some credentials, you want to put them there, that's fine. But I suggest sticking with first and last name. It's cleaner, it's easier for them to remember, and you don't want to tax them any more than they need to be. Underneath that, you've got your street address, your city, your state, but there's a couple of items in your contact information I want to talk about. Phone numbers. I get all kinds of goofy stuff. People using their home numbers, Google numbers. The best number to use is your cell phone so that they can get you directly. You should have a professional voicemail message on there, so you don't want to use your home number where you've got the kids in the background screaming or the dogs barking. Well, I might think that's funny because I have dogs and I understand what that's like. Why risk it? So you want to use your cell phone so that they can actually get you, and you want to be mindful of your voicemail. It shouldn't be cheeky and funny. It should be professional if you're going to be fielding voicemails from employers. Now, you're wondering, I probably spent about a minute on the phone number. You're going to love what I do with the email address. The email address that you place on the resume should have a couple characteristics about it. And you need to think about, it's not just your contact email, it's what the employer does with it. So I always recommend that it's personal and polished. So I would prefer johnsmith@gmail.com as opposed to ilovedogs@gmail.com. And let me tell you why. You want them to keep seeing your name. If they're going to contact you and send you an email, you want them to be able to go into their system and just type John and have your email pop up. A lot of these Mac Mail and Outlook and Google Mail, they retain that email address. Don't have them hunt for your resume to find that your email address is I love dogs. So these are just some things to think about as we get into the rest of the resume. Now, this is just your contact information and your name, and it's the first thing that they're going to see. You want to think of the resume as a funnel. It starts large, and you want to assume that they're going to read it from top down. And you also want to assume that at any moment they can jump out and stop, or they can get interrupted or disinterested. You want to make sure that you start out with a bang and you give them a full digest of who you are and what you offer, because you want to entice them. That's the first thing that they're going to see. You don't want to ask, it's not, as I mentioned, a vehicle to ask them for what you want. So you don't want to put what you're seeking, what you want, what your preferences are. You want to start planting ideas in the employer's mind as to how they can deploy a great asset like you and the value that they're going to get. So I recommend, as you can see, the career profile. This is your Reader's Digest version of who you are and what you've accomplished, and a summary of your skills. That's it, 3 things: who you are, what you've accomplished, and a summary of your skills, so that they have an idea. They get a collection of information. It's a snapshot. If I can take 28 years of experience and strip it down to 26 words, you can certainly take your professional life and put it into 2 paragraphs, just so that they understand who you are. So I want to spend a little time on this one, because I think this is extremely important, because it's the first thing that they're going to see. And you do want to get them excited. So let's take a couple of quick examples. They're opposites for, I'll try to hit, as many people as I can. I know I have a lot of salespeople that are out there that follow me, that email me, that we recruit. And if you're a sales professional, the who you are, the what you've accomplished, and the skill sets that you've developed might go a little something like this. I'm a seasoned sales professional who you generate revenue by securing new customers. That's what it is that you do. So if you want to talk about that, I'm a seasoned sales professional, or you might want to talk about what it is you sell: hardware, software, pharmaceutical products, whatever it might be, who has generated revenue of X amount, how many dollars over the course of your lifetime. Remember, you're aggregating here, so these numbers and these accomplishments should sound bigger because you're aggregating them. You're adding up all the years of experience that you've had, even if it's 1 year or 2 years or 10 years. So I'm a seasoned sales professional who has sold whatever the products are, generating X amount of revenue, securing X new customers. I'm proficient in researching, prospecting, customer relationship development, sales, and so forth. The employer can get all of that in a paragraph or 2. And now they've got a snapshot and a memorable little breadcrumb of you, of who you are. Now, you might say, well, I'm not a salesperson, I'm not a marketer, I'm not something like that. But let's take something just totally different. For all you hostesses out there, I love to go to my favorite restaurants. I love the people that greet me. Well, if you're a 25-year-old hostess and you've been hostessing for 2 years, think about what you do. You answer the phones, you organize the tables, you greet the people when they come in. You can say that, and you can say, I'm a hostess, or you can think of it in terms of what you're actually contributing to the health of your restaurant. Let's say you work 5 days a week, and every day that you work your 8-hour shift or 10-hour shift, you work for a great restaurant who seats 100 customers a day that you seat, and you've been working there for an entire year. That's 5 days a week. That's 100 people a day for 50 weeks. That's 25,000 people that you have greeted. So are you a hostess, or are you a hostess who has performed reception duties, who has greeted people, who has handled over 20,000 or 25,000 customers per year for the life that you've been doing this? So think in those terms. You can encapsulate that. I'm a hostess who works at a 4-star restaurant, who greets 25,000 people a year. You're proficient in reception, organization, and customer service. So you get the idea. This really can work with whatever your profession is. You need to think about what it is that you're actually doing, kind of in the terms of a noun and a verb. So that's the career profile. The next section, so that's just a little Reader's Digest of who you are. The next section is where you start to build that excitement. You want to talk about your highlights. This is that 3 to 4 bullets of your major accomplishments in your life. Now, when you think about what employers are interested in understanding, employers, they're, they're actually very simple. No matter what it is that they do, they want to generate revenue, they want to save costs, or they want to optimize the foundation or processes or overall structure so that their company is healthy and stable. Those are the three home runs. So if you can think in terms of building, improving, optimizing, increasing the overall health of the company, those are the highlights that they're going to be most interested in. If you don't have that many years of experience and you haven't done something that has been quantifiable or has as major an impact as that does, think in terms of what else you've done. Have you coached people? Have you taught your fellow employees? Have you optimized processes? Have you written white papers? Have you done anything that contributes to the growth and health of your company that you are personally proud of? So that's the highlight section. So now they're really starting to get excited. And here again, thinking in terms of the funnel, thinking in terms of they can jump out at any moment. This is what you're leaving them with. So now let's actually get into the body. Now there's a couple of keys to victory in the work experience section or professional experience section, whatever it is that you want to call it. But this is a listing of the organizations that you've worked at in reverse chronological order. That's number one. Second thing is you want to list the companies on the left side and then slightly indent your titles. So reverse chronological order, companies, work titles, responsibilities, and so forth. And I'll take you through that. Now, why do you want to do it that way? People think in terms of time. They think in terms of chronology. They want to look at your track record of achievement. They want to see your history, the decisions you've made, your evolution within your companies and across companies. It's very difficult for them to do that if you start listing your responsibilities and then the companies that you worked at where you held those responsibilities. It reads like a Rubik's Cube. It's very difficult for them to understand that. So you want to stay in reverse chronological order for those reasons. The second thing is you want to put your company on the left side. Some people that I see, they put their title on the left side. While you might not think this is a big deal, there are a couple really key points here. The first is, for me, when I read a resume, I actually look at your name, I look at your highlights or your career profile or something to get a good sense of who you are. Then I race down the left column to look for the companies that you've worked at. The first thing I'm looking for, are those good, well-known companies? Do they have good pedigree? And is this individual likely going to be coming from a well-cultured organization? That's important. The second thing it tells me is, does this person consider him or herself a team player? So if I see your title, it's almost like you care more about yourself than you care about the employer. And it might sound subtle, but remember, you're sending these messages and you're not there to clarify. They're not there to talk to you yet. They're just looking at a piece of paper. So you want to make sure that these subliminal messages that you're sending are positive. The other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you show some progression within your titles. It's best if you can show a nice evolution. If you can't, you can't. But that's another thing that you want to make sure that you're doing. So, just make sure that it's reverse chronological order. It's companies on the left. It's titles slightly indented. And what I like to do, and as you can see this from the example, not everybody knows the companies that you worked at, what they've done, what they do. They could be very, very well-known companies in your space, but a future employer might not understand what it is that your organization does. So I recommend that right underneath the company name, you put a one-sentence description of what that company does, what their goal is, what their contribution to the world is, just so that I have a sense. Are they a product company? Are they a service company? What is it that they do? Is it a nonprofit organization? Whatever it might be. Then as you start to go down into the detail of your title, what is it that you are, in a sentence, responsible for? So is there a mini collection of highlights or responsibilities that you can give the person a good perspective without actually having to read all the bullets? Don't assume that they're going to read all the detail in your resume. They read it like an outline. That's what most people do. That's what I do. So are you continually enticing them to read further? So that's another thing that you can do. And you want to make sure that when you get down to the bullets and the specific accomplishments, and I stress the word accomplishments, there's activity-based resumes, which includes what you were responsible for, and there's accomplishments or benefits-based resumes as to what your actual contribution and benefit was to your company or its customers or the people within the organization, whatever it might be. So I have more detail on that in some other articles that I've written, which I can point you to at the end. Then as you keep rolling on down, there is the education. Education, list your school, list the years you attended, the location of the school, and list the degrees that you got. If you did not get a degree, you want to note that. How many credit hours did you actually accumulate? Are you currently in school? When is your expected graduation or completion date, whether it's for an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, whatever that might be? And then just list all the schools. And then at the end, this is kind of your catch-all section. I call it extracurriculars or volunteer activities or other notable accomplishments and feats. It could be anything from nonprofit activities, board activities, mentorship programs, volunteer programs, anything that you do that is germane for them to know. I generally say stay away from hobbies and other things that, while are important and interesting to you, might not really be germane for the employer to know. So there you have it. So you want to start with the career profile. That's the Reader's Digest of who you are. Then you want to go into your highlights. What are your major contributions to your organizations and its constituents, its customers, and those types of relevant parties, and your work experience in reverse chronological order, listing the companies and your titles and your responsibilities, then your education, and then your extracurriculars. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you'd like more information on resume writing, if you go to the Tips for Work and Life blog at andrewlacivita.com and simply search on the word resume, there's probably a half a dozen articles there that you can see and get more tips and tricks. I also have an entire book dedicated to job interviewing. It's called Interview Intervention, Communication That Gets You Hired. I give that away free, the ebook, to anybody that signs up for the Tips for Work and Life blog. And I also have an entire book experience that is on the front page of the Mile Walk Academy. If you go to milewalkacademy.com and you see the interview intervention experience, click Learn More. You can get access to an ebook, all the audio. I've recorded all the chapters. There's chapter notes and guides, helpful job interview guides, and other things that are great aids. So I hope you download those, and then of course the ultimate resume template that's included in this post. I hope you download that. I hope you enjoy it. Lots of luck. See you next week.